Imagine sunshine, pom-poms, and total chaos. The footage shows Ming reclining over a luxurious seashore table. Her eyes flare with resolution as she drops bombshell after bombshell at Evelyn. Fans are shocked when accusations of betrayal become concrete accusations. Was Evelyn's research on Chantel's relatives really successful? Evelyn made a lot of movements as her face became pale. Her customary composure was abruptly disrupted. As the family was abruptly divided, you could feel the tension rising through your television. But it's just the beginning. Ming's exposé is more than just idle rumors. She exposes a plethora of alleged conversations, secret recordings, and backdoor plans that link Evelyn to the planning of this mother-daughter conflict. Jackie's savage reaction was caught on tape. Converts this beachside getaway into a battlefield where people bang doors and make offensive remarks. Will loyalty persist, or will these revelations permanently destroy friendships? Stay tuned as we analyze every explosive moment, because in the world of BBS 12, nothing is off limits, and every secret has a price. Ming sat back in her chair and let the breeze blow over her hair as she drank her iced tea slowly. A world apart from the serene scene of pom-poms and turquoise waters, she was prepared to unleash a cyclone. Evelyn, wearing a flowing sundress, listened intently, her face flashing with confusion. "You know, I'm always honest." Ming's speech began quietly but resolutely. "But it's not simply tea I have to share today." Evelyn's whole body stiffened. The joyous Christmas ambiance quickly fades. Denise glanced between them, feeling the tension. Chantel sat nearby, her phone resting on the table. "What are you talking about?" Evelyn said, her brows furrowed. Ming leaned forward, her eyes blazing. "You've been digging," she said, her voice quivering with suppressed anger. "I saw the messages," Denise said, breaking the silence. "And you wanted details about Chantel's childhood, parents, and even her college years." Evelyn's lips parted, and she glanced to Denise and then to Chantel as if they would step in. But neither of them spoke, their expressions unreadable. "You were trying to find out about Chantel's family. You were texting Denise to ask questions about Chantel's past. Would you mind explaining?" Ming leaned back and added, "You're not that clueless." Evelyn's fingers raced to her chest and her voice trembled as she protested. "That's not true. You framed it as concern, but we all know why you really wanted them. You thrive on secrets, as we all know," she added. She was leaning against a nearby palm with her arms crossed when Jackie finally stepped in. "Give her a chance to speak," she pleaded, but her tone betrayed cynicism, and Evelyn's eyes were staring at Jackie with a desperate flare. "Jackie, please, you know me. Why would I do that?" Ming's smile was thin, almost predatory. "'Cause Evelyn, you're obsessed. It's obsessed with being seen as the one who knows everything. You crave power control, so you dig." The words landed like stones in the sand, and for a moment, the only sound was the distant crash of the waves. Chell rose, her shoulders squared. "Stop doing that," she said, voice firm. She held her phone up, revealing a string of texts. "Here from the previous week, you inquired about my mother's health, then suddenly pivoted to my dad's business troubles. When I asked why, you said it was for a fundraiser baloney." Evelyn's eyes darted to Chantel's phone, then back to Ming. "You're twisting things." She snapped, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. Ming reached across and swiped through the texts, pausing on one that read, "I require information about Chantel." Jackie's face tensed as she glanced at it and then back at Evelyn. "Please help me," Jackie said, her teeth clenched. "That's enough," she said. "Either you own up or we walk away." Evelyn's face flushed crimson. She opened her mouth, then closed, it unable to form words. Fat's silence stretched heavy with unspoken accusations. Finally, she whispered, "I was attempting to safeguard her." Chantel laughed harshly, incredulously. "Protect her," she gave a smirk. "In what ways can spying on a buddy help you? Simply put, it is treachery." When Ming took out a little recorder and placed it on the table, the drama became more intense. After saying, "I thought you'd deny everything," she hit play. Jackie's eyes widened as she listened to the confession, her face a mask of anguish and disbelief. "I just want to know what I'm dealing with," Evelyn murmured, her voice booming in the quiet. "I need to understand her weakness." With trembling hands, she said, "How could you?" She added, "I didn't mean for it to go that far," in a wounded voice. With tears in her eyes, Chantel shook her head and said, "I thought it was harmless curiosity. We're here exposed, even though the purpose of this journey was to strengthen our bonds." A dot. When the replay of the recorder came to an end, Ming stood straightening her clothing. The truth is something you deserve. Jackie, what are your thoughts? Jackie took a trembling breath and closed her eyes. Mothers don't turn on one another, in my opinion. You violated my confidence. Denise was a pawn in your scheme. Denise turned away, her eyes a mixture of remorse and sadness. I apologize, she murmured softly. I ought to have declined . I'm sorry, Evelyn said, her voice trembling as she hurried forward, her words echoing like a gavel blow. I was afraid of losing my place, of being left out, she said. Ming said in a chilly tone. Fear doesn't excuse betrayal, her features softening momentarily before hardening again. You'd better explain yourself or don't bother coming back, Chantel hissed, her face a swirling whirlpool of anger and misery. You crossed a cue. Evelyn nodded as Jackie lightly touched her arm and said in a whisper, We can fix this, but only if you own up. I want my friendship back, Denise said as she wiped her tears, but trust is hard to find. She responded, I'll do whatever it takes, as the tears continued to fall. Chantel looked at her, then at Evelyn. Show it. At that moment, a new notification chimed on Chantel's phone. She glanced down, eyes widening. What should she do? Ming asked, brows knitting together. Chantel scrolled, then showed the screen a video clip recorded earlier that morning of Evelyn speaking to a crew member about digging up secrets. The crew member laughed and replied, That's dangerous terrain. Chantel said, This wasn't just about me, as she hovered her finger over play. She's been doing this to everyone. Jackie's face palled as she realized the implications. We're not done, Chantel said, voice low but determined. This trip just turned into an investigation. Ming nodded, a plan forming behind her eyes. Let's get to the bottom of it. Evelyn sank back, the weight of her actions bearing down on her. What had I done? We require proof, she said in a professional manner. You have the messages, Denise. You have the video, Chantel. Jackie, watch out for stuff. She settled into her seat and said, We need evidence, as the two ladies exchanged glances. Are you prepared to discover more mysteries? From confrontation to covert operation. The tone shifted. The ladies of BBUS 12 were about to learn that secrets may have much more consequences than they had ever thought, and the drama was just beginning. As Ming moved away from the table, Denise lingered close by, wringing her hands as if she was caught between remorse and loyalty, while Chantel and Jackie were quietly discussing by the palapa. Jackie, intent on settling over Evelyn like armor, nodded and said, Watch her closely. See if she moves again. Chantel placed her phone in her pocket and said, I'm on it. Ming got up. Then we'll meet back here in an hour with whatever we find. As Evelyn stood at the edge of the sitting area, her sundress blowing in the air, eyes darting as if looking for a way out, the weight of their attention pulled down on her like a physical force, even though the beach loungers behind them were empty. I'm going to check her room first, Chantel muttered. She motioned for Jackie to follow, and the two moved off through the sandy path towards the villa. Ming watched them go, then turned to Denise. You're interested in receiving such messages? After swallowing, Denise removed her phone from her purse. Yeah, she replied, opening the message app and navigating through the exchange with trembling fingers. She even scheduled an appointment with the private investigator, saying, Wow, she breathed. Yesterday, Ming raised an eyebrow. Denise nodded and said, Private investigator. Her eyes widened at the screen as she continued. I've been trying to look into everyone's past. A payment confirmation has been received. $2,000. A contented grin curved Ming's lips. Bingo. Evelyn's apartment had an open door, a well-made bed, and a subtle scent of coconut sunscreen, so Chantel and Jackie crept in. A stack of papers scattered on the desk was picked up by Chantel. She murmured, Look at this, and produced a folder marked Research. Denise, there were photos from each friend's wedding. Jackie's daughter's birthday. Even Ming's college graduation. Earning a college degree. The margins were packed with scrawled notes. Insecurity, emotional triggers, leverage, emotional triggers, leverage. Jackie's breath caught, Chantel's jaw tightened, and dirt started to pile up. Jackie discovered a little leather-bound journal hidden under the desk. When she opened it, the first page she saw was Operation Protect Me. Chantal and Denise were at odds because of the complex plans underneath. Turn Ming and Jackie against each other. She isolates herself as the only trustworthy friend. The bathroom door creaked open, and Jackie muttered in a harsh, low voice, This is psychotic. Evelyn emerged, towing her hair, and froze as she saw the two women going through her stuff. "What are you doing?" she said with wide eyes as Chantel spun around with the photos in her hand. She said, "Ask her that," in a chilly manner. "Why do you have our lives laid out like evidence?" Evelyn said, turning back to face the guy door. I was worried about us," she said. "I only wanted to understand you to keep us safe," Jackie stated as she tossed the journal onto the bed. "This is stalking." The sound of breaking waves seemed to fill the room as Chantal stepped forward. "You violated every one of our trusts." Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. She cried and said, "I apologize, I didn't mean to do that." She held the key across her arms. "This will not be improved by apologies." Outside, Ming and Denise heard a lot of voices. Paul, Denise. "They need assistance." Ming nodded. "Hurry up." As they marched in the direction of the apartment, the tension grew. Evelyn's arm was taken inside by Chantel. Evelyn's shoulders shuddered as she spoke. Every secret, every plan. Chantal's grip eased as she muttered, "You must tell us everything." I felt alone. I was afraid you would replace me. We no longer have a relationship with you. Evelyn's voice faltered as she continued. "We could have talked." Jackie sneered. "I know. I lost my head." A dense silence descended when Ming and Denise entered behind them. Ming looked around. Chantel shot Evelyn a glare. Jackie crossed her arms. Denise stood uncertainly at the door. "Hey," Ming said in a calm but authoritative voice. Evelyn's face twisted as she said, "Once we were together, you owe us the truth." "What about those recordings you mentioned on the beach earlier?" "I did record some conversations. I thought if I had proof, I could protect myself." She motioned for them to stand in a circle and said, "Lay it all out." "No more lies." Ming's eyes narrowed. "What are you protecting yourself from?" Evelyn took a gulp. "Being left behind." "You tried to make us feel sorry for you then?" Jonal inquired. Evelyn's eyes were closed. "I went into a panic. I did this since I had no idea how to get in touch." Min gave a headshake. "This isn't an attempt to connect. It is mistreatment." Denise took a step forward. "There's more," she answered, trembling. "I discovered communications and payments made to the investigator. She said that she intended to provide the tabloid's insider information." Evelyn's gaze expanded. "I didn't intend it at all." Chantel gave Ming an accusatory glance. Ming's phone displayed the investigator's invoice. $2,000, July 3rd. Background checks are done for personal safety. Evelyn drooped her shoulders. "If I discovered anything, I hoped I might be of assistance." Jackie gave a smirk. "Help. You intended to reveal us." Evelyn collapsed on the ground. "I'm so sorry. I was the one who betrayed you, even though I believed I was shielding you from it." The echo of Evelyn's weeping caused the gathering to become quiet. "Everyone has made mistakes," she said. "Maybe this can be a turning point." Evelyn genuinely wants to make amends. "We need a plan." Denise wiped her cheeks. Ming interjected, saying, "We can't just pretend this didn't happen." Chantel said, nodding, "Trust has to be rebuilt. We could set boundaries, have open conversations. And if she crosses those boundaries again," Evelyn looked up, desperation in her eyes. "And if she crosses those boundaries again, I'll accept the consequences." "Okay," Ming sighed. "First step, delete all recordings. Return everything." "You've taken." Ming's face became serious. "She's not finished yet." Jackie's heart was racing. "Which video?" A thumbnail of a grainy video of Jackie and her kid at a playground was shown when Chantel touched the screen. Jackie's expression became white. "How did she get that?" Evelyn had a startled expression. "I'm not sure." Chantel ran her fingertips over her phone. Chantel's phone pinged instantly. She frowned as she glanced down. "One more message." She read, "Before it becomes public, we must put an end to this." Denise's hands tightened. "We must cooperate." Chantal stood up. "Evelyn, you must assist us in halting that leak if you want to gain our confidence." Evelyn nodded, tears giving way to resolve. "I'll contact the gang that gossips. I'll take care of it." Ming let out a breath. "We move quickly, no errors." Jackie gave Evelyn a suspicious glance. "I wish I believed you," she said. As they collect their phones and information, they now confront the potential for actual harm to families and reputations, raising the stakes beyond mere espionage. Their dramatic deal was appropriately framed by the sky's flaming orange and bruised purple hues as the sun dropped lower. The four ladies looked at each other and formed a shaky alliance. Each lady knew that the relationships they believed they understood would be put to the test in the next several hours, as the sound of distant thunder swept over the water, almost reflecting their torment. In an attempt to identify the origin of the gossip group, Chantel tapped at her phone and reported, "I've narrowed it down to 2 admins," stating, "One goes by CLAPS, the other Island Insider. Both have access to our personal details." Jackie hovered over Chantel's shoulder, her face etched with anxiety. Ming checked her watch as the sky grew darker and rain clouds started to gather on the horizon and said, "Time's up." She pressed her lips together and said, "What do we do now?" "You still have that investigator's contact?" she said, turning to Denise, who nodded while holding his phone and said he could help with digital forensics to link the leak to the uploader. "Let's bring in professional help." Ming nodded curtly. "Evelyn, you handled the gossip group message. Denise will work with the investigator to arrange. I'll follow the social media traces with Chantel. You get it? You get it? I am a buddy who is worried. Please take Jackie's daughter's video down. It's damaging our relationship and has no news worth. I'm a buddy who is worried. Please take Jackie's daughter's video down." As she dragged a message to the gossip group, Evelyn took a big breath and said, "Understand? It's hurting our friendship and there's no news value. You get it?" She shook as she spoke. Ming considered their options. If we can identify the uploader, the investigator can threaten legal action. They might back down. Chantal nodded. She opened the reply. "Send payment of $500 via Venmo and we'll delete it." Her stomach twisted. She looked up, shame and panic in her eyes. "They want money," Denise moaned. "Of course they do." Ming's jaw clenched. Jackie's voice trembled. "We have to protect my daughter." Chantel glared at the phone. "We need another way," Ming exhaled. "Good. We stall the gossip group until then." Jackie bit her lip. "I don't want to see my daughter's face plastered everywhere." Evelyn moved closer. "I'll block the group." Chantal and Ming looked through social media logs, opening tabs and cross-referencing timestamps Denise's page through her contacts to get to the investigator. She said in a hopeful voice, "He's responding. He can start tracing the upload within the hour. Remove any reposts." The ladies, each battling dread, guilt, and resolve, sank into tight quiet. The first droplets of rain dropped outside. Ming gave her phone a tap. "I have access to Seabreeze's Handela private account, which has a tendency to provide insider information despite having few postings." Chantal gave a clap. "Our lead is that." Ming gave a nod. "First, we'll concentrate on CLAPS. We have evidence that they distributed the video. We exert pressure." The phone rang for Denise. She recognized Himtha from the movie. Investigators are on the line. She placed it on speaker after swiping. When she said, "I'm ready," the cold voice of the investigator replied, "I've traced the clip's metadata. It originated from a device registered to a public Wi-Fi network at the beach bar you visited yesterday," Ming grumbled. "So it's someone on staff?" said the investigator. "Perhaps an employee or patron with access. I can subpoena the Wi-Fi logs, but the venue will need a push. We need to know who," the cop said, having a game shortly. Denise gave a nod. "Thank you." The investigator ended the call. Ming let out a sigh. "We're near." Even though it was scheduled to rain, Chantel insisted on returning to the beach bar to personally get information. Her words, "We need context. Seeing this scene might spark a lead." "What?" Jackie paused, then said, "It's pouring." "We're already in crisis mode," Ming said, glancing up at us. "Hurry up." Only the steady patter of rain on the windscreen and the hum of the engines could be heard as they unwillingly got into Chantel's SUV and drove the circuitous path to the tavern. Nerves tensed. Mist swirled over the neon sign at the bar. The stench of salt and spilt beverages greeted them as Telltale pulled open the door. An anxious assistant was waiting for them when they arrived to the manager's office. The assistant said, "We're under a privacy violation threat. This is about stopping potential blackmail." Chanel lost patience as Ming continued. "We're friends of the women in that video. We need to review the Wi-Fi login sheet." Ming gave a strong nod. "We upstairs." The assistant pulled out a logbook from a drawer in a tiny office crammed with receipts and half-empty coffee cups. Chantal turned to the pages of device names and dates. "At 3 p.m. yesterday, I heard this entry. Device 84, single quotes username, FF Col2 Colby B9, Sherian 72, Ming Bentin. Chantal listened to the tape. At 3:15 p.m., the video went live. Ming gestured. Jackie's stomach flipped in tandem with that. Who is Sherry in 72? Chantal jotted the name down. We will discover. Ming shut the drawer. Chantal placed the logbook in her backpack and said, We need this to our investigator. Let's return. They ran out, the rain soaking their garments dot by dot as a crack of thunder erupted. Denise walked back at the villa waiting for Chantal to call. Finally, soaking but victorious, Chantal raced through the door. Sharan72 is our username, she said. An envelope was drenched and tossed upon the table by Chantal. Chantal looked at Evelyn and said, Let me handle the message to the gossip group again. It's time I'll say I have evidence linking the leak to their member. Evelyn nodded. Do it. Jackie hovered. Be careful. Chantal took a deep breath and typed, We know who you are. Ming tapped her phone and said, I'll send this to the investigator. He'll confirm identity via employment records. An alert chimed on Ming's phone. On a gossip website, Chantal's posted logbook picture had surfaced. A few seconds later, a flurry of typing noises as the gossip group disputed internally emerged. Captioned, Friends turn Detective Villa drama intensifies. He sent the message, Back off or face legal action. There was a response. We're verifying. Hold on tight. Denise let out a breath. We succeeded. Chantal's face fell and Ving's voice sounded hollow. No, I thought that was confidential. Jackie's mouth clenched. Why couldn't we handle this in private? Chantal took a gulp. I misjudged them. Evelyn gave Chantal's hand a squeeze. We'll take care of it. Ming paced. Oh no. 2 steps back for every stride forward. Denise made an effort to comfort them. The bar may still be subpoenaed by the investigator. Officially reveal the leak's origin. Chantal gave a head shake. The harm has been done. Our desperation, not our innocence, is shown by the logbook choice. Jackie had sparkling eyes. She glanced around the room and said, and it paints us as conspirators. We need a new tactic. We could take control of the narrative. Go public, admit our mistake, and frame it as protecting Jackie's daughter. That risks public shaming, Denise replied. Chantal bit her lip and said, but it shows transparency. Evelyn nodded and said, but it might work. I'm terrified. Jackie closed her eyes. We'll craft a statement. Simple apology. Explanation of threat. The statement read, We deeply regret recent actions taken in fear and frustration. Our priority has always been the safety and privacy of our loved ones. We acted imperfectly in trying to prevent a private video of a child from being spread, and we apologize for any breach of trust among us and with our fans. We hope you understand our intention was to protect, not to harm. Thank you for your support, Ming. Chantal hesitated, then said, We should post it from a joint account, and Ming nodded. Jackie glanced across to Evelyn. Are you certain? Evelyn took a resolute breath. Yes. As soon as Chantal hit the publish button, fans began to leave both critical and positive comments. A no. No. Jackie's heart pounded as she turned the page over. Mixed reactions, she whispered. Ming nodded. It's going to be messy, but at least we control the narrative. Chantal leaned back. Now we wait for the investigator's final report. The 4 women sat together inside, but the rain outside grew louder, pounding against the windows like a countdown. Ming gazed at the glowing screen while notifications poured in like raindrops. It's a storm of opinions, she whispered, her voice barely audible over the sound of the water hitting the windows. Chantal leaned forward, scrolling through the comments. Some fans are sympathetic, she noted. They see the apology as genuine. They had bruised each other, knowing that the consequences of their actions would reverberate far beyond this stormy night. Loyalty had been put to the test, trust was broken and cautiously restored. And the future was uncertain, but for the time being, they had chosen to face the public together in the hopes that their candor would pave the way for genuine healing. Others, however, are accusing us of being manipulative. Jackie sank into a chair with a tired expression on her face. Denise shook her head and said, We tried to do the right thing, and now we're under scrutiny. The subpoena is being finalized by him. By midnight, a name ought to be assigned. Jackie gave herself a hug. Let it be easy, please. Evelyn sighed, still drenched from the previous rain. How much more drama I can take is beyond me. Min gave a steady grin. We're halfway there. We'll end strong. Just before 11 o'clock, the investigator phoned. Chantel responded via speaker. Enough of that for now. We need the investigator's report. To make a case, we will need statements from secondary receivers. Chantel scowled. According to the investigator, it is now secondhand. We have a good place to start, but it's a chain. Denise massaged her forehead. We must track down those connections. Jackie's tone faltered. I have verified that the user Sharon72 is, in fact, CLAPS barmaid Cheyenne Carter. The location gave records this morning that connected the gadget to her employee ID. Legal action may be taken. Ming let out a breath. It is recommended to target Anne first, then go upstream. Ming gave herself a nod. Her voice was stern as she responded, well, handle it. After the conversation ended, they looked at one another in the gloomy light and said, thank you for your help. The wind was rocking the veranda, and the storm outside had intensified. After a pause, Jackie said, I don't want to scare her, but we can't let this continue. Evelyn nodded, and Ming rubbed her forehead. Chantel said, we have to confront Anne. Ming agreed, saying, we can do it discreetly. Maybe threaten legal action privately. We confront tomorrow, and we reassemble tonight. The women were sitting around the low coffee table drinking mugs of chamomile tea as the rain stopped. Chantal read out her drafted notice. Dear Ms. Carter, we have evidence that you shared private content without permission. We demand that all copies be deleted immediately and that you cooperate in identifying additional recipients. If you don't comply, legal action will be taken. She looked up. Does it sound harsh? Jackie shook her head. I'll draft the legal notice. She tapped away on her phone before Denise collapsed onto the couch. It's fair but firm, Ming went on. Add a due date? The next morning dawned gray, and the villa felt heavy with anticipation. Chantel tapped the screen. Done. Evelyn exhaled. I hope she listens. Denise sipped her tea, and that this ends here. Ming put down her mug, and soon the room was quiet except for the sound of the air conditioner and the distant thunder. Ming found the courage to lead the way to the beach bar, with Chantel and Jackie on either side of her. As they followed, each lost in their own thoughts, the neon sign of the bar flashed in the dreary light. They entered where the faint smell of salt and beer spilt was there, and Chantel approached the front desk. We're here to see Anne Carter, she said quietly. May we chat with her? Ming crossed an envelope over the counter and said, I'll give it to her. It's urgent. She needs to receive this notice today. The manager, a stout man with a tough face, told them, but I can pass a message. She's off shift right now, he said, looking at them wearily. The manager paused before picking it up. With Anne holding the envelope and no guarantee of a prompt reply, they departed the pub. Jackie's shoulders slumped as Chantel turned to her pals and stated, now we wait again. Ming frowned and said, how many waits can one trip have? Just one more. They returned to the villa in quiet, with the town's rumor already seething. Chantel noticed two locals, those women from the reality show, whispering as they passed. Have you seen their post? They were trailed home by the rumors. Ming looked at her phone, but it was still unanswered. Chantel looked at her email, but it was empty. Evelyn must have been afraid because she squeezed her lips together. What if she leaks more? Chantel clenched her fists while Denise chewed her lip. With lightning illuminating the sky and a loud crack, the afternoon lasted into the early evening. The patio. This stress is too much for me to bear. A hand was put on her shoulder by Ming. Jackie watched the rain as Ming's voice became softer. I just want my daughter's face off the internet. When Chantel's phone rang, she glanced at the screen and her eyes widened. We'll protect her. Chantal attentively read aloud, then glanced up, saying, Chantel, open the message. I'm so sorry, I panicked. I've deleted all files and told everyone to remove them. Please forgive me, she obeyed. I'm grateful. Please forgive me, she obeyed. I'm grateful. Denise dabbed at her tears. I'm hoping that's all. Chantel gave a nod. We ought to consult the investigator. Ming dialed the detective. A few seconds later, they verified deletion. The secondary recipient still needed to be identified, he said, but there were no traces on Anne's devices. Shenlai. Fantastic. Jackie gave a headshake. Ming saw the weary expressions on her companions' faces and said, when does this become over? Denise groaned. It won't end until we find everyone involved. One crisis at a time. Finding out who obtained it from Anne is the next step. I've reached my limit. Ming gave her temples a massage. I have too. Chantal shut her eyes. Additional investigative work. The gang gathered around computers that evening. Chantal looked over the social media accounts of Anne's acquaintances. Denise made cold calls to people she knew. Ming monitored forums for rumors. Jackie reviewed any unfinished business about her daughter. Driven by caffeine and determination, the hours went by. Chantal turned off her laptop around 3 in the morning. We're worn out. Chantal took a step back. Maybe we need a different approach. Jackie had a glitter in her eyes. What if we issued a public statement outlining the circumstances and declaring that we are a single, uncompromising front? Ming pondered. Although it's dangerous, it could make the other leakers give up. Chantal gave a slow nod. It might alter the story. Denise grinned a little. I will stop at nothing now. They posted a last joint post as dawn approached. We have taken ownership of our errors in trying to keep our loved ones safe. We are committed to openness and responsibility, and we have reached a settlement with the parties directly involved. We are now focused on protecting our families and repairing our friendships. They let themselves breathe for a time. The air was crisp and chilly, and the rain had ceased. Chantal watched the placid water while leaning on the railing. Whispering, "We did it," she said. Jackie wrapped her in his arm. After reading the passage, they each stopped and said, "We survived our own drama." Ming tapped the post. Their site displayed the message. The reactions were quick. While some followers ridiculed their dramatization, others applauded their candor. "And we did it on our terms," Denise remarked, leaning forward as Ming smiled at them both. She replied gently, "Companions?" Evelyn remained away, apprehensive, but then she moved forward and joined the circle. "Friends," she said. Unaware of the last twist that lay ahead, they stood together, staring out at the horizon, bruised but unbroken. Ming's phone rang as the first rays of sunlight broke the surface of the sea, alerting him to the release of a new video, this time from an unidentified source. The real story revealed was the caption for the thumbnail, which featured all 5 women on the beach. Ming's breath caught, Chantal's heart thumping, Jackie's hand flying to her mouth, Denise's eyes widening, and Evelyn's face lacking color. There is little doubt that the drama is far from done as the sun rises on this whirlpool of secrets and plots. With trust shaky and allegiance put to the test, we're left wondering who will act next. Will Chantal and Ming find out where the anonymous video came from? The next discovery, which promised more mayhem, treachery, and drama than they could have ever dreamed, lay just beyond the daybreak, so the mystery was far from done.